Katamaskat na honiwag umaga chance panicus Disney gasun kinasel CPO Sanina, Winnipeg, Newigan. Hello everybody, welcome to this episode of We Stand Together. Today we have Amelia Williams with us as our guest host. Amelia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Bloodvein. My mother is from Bloodvein and my father was from Hollow Water. They moved away from the reserve when they were 18 and they moved to the city. They already had children, but they moved to the city. I was born before we came and I lost my language when I lived here. And I just don't know what else to say. I'm getting nervous.
It's okay. They can edit it out.
Yeah, I come from a big family. There's 10 of us. I have six sisters, 4 brothers, 2 that speak the language fluently, but us, we just understand bits and pieces and trying to remember how, because when our parents came, they started speaking English here.
Right.
So we sort of lost our language.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And most of the elders are gone now. So it's up to us to try and regain what we lost. Yeah,
Right.
so.
Right. So you talk about the loss of language, which a lot of First Nation people go through. How do you think language and relearning our languages is going to help heal us as First Nation people?
Well, for one thing, I have grandchildren that want to know our language. And now I'm saying, well, I don't know it. I know bits and pieces, but I can't speak it fluently. So I've been sort of practicing and trying myself to remember my parents, how they spoke, and try and bring it out. Sometimes I'll say words to them that I remember, but I can say them, but I won't know what they mean, or it's back and forth. I can say them, or I can understand them.
Right.
I'll say, oh, that one just said this, but then I don't know.
Right.
I forget after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and as you just mentioned, you know, your grandchildren, children are a huge part of our culture as First Nation people. So, you know, you're trying to learn the language for them, right?
Yeah.
Do you have hope that in the next generations we will see the resurgence of our languages as First Nation people?
I've noticed today that a lot of the people, not only Indigenous people, but a lot of the other people want to learn.
Right.
I've had people come up to me that are Filipino, that are East Indian, whatever. They come up to me and they say, how do you say hi or in your language? And I'll go like this now.
Right. Yeah.
To us, we don't want to speak. We want people to know our language.
Right.
But there was code talkers that sort of changed a lot of it too.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, language and culture, they're intertwined, they're the same, they're twin sisters, right?
Yeah.
Why is it important that non-Indigenous people understand Indigenous culture and language?
Because a lot of our language has to do with history. A lot of our language has to do with the land, the water, the air. We pay attention more to that.
Right.
And that tells us everything, what we need to do in life.
Right.
And they want to understand why we do these things. Well, that's where we get our medicines from.
Right.
That's where we talk to the Creator is everywhere.
Right.
And we're supposed to be put here to look after everything and each other.
When it comes to non-Indigenous and Indigenous people and the relationship that we have, how do you see us moving forward as 2 groups in the true spirit of truth and reconciliation?
Well, in my family, we're multicultural.
Right.
I got Filipino, white, black, Cambodian in our family.
Right.
So we learned some of their language already, and we mix. So we get with them in our family. We're sort of, we know with white or other cultures that we can get along with them.
Right.
The families on the reserves don't. They're still but like I said, we were brought here and we had to live amongst them, so we know how they are towards us.
Right. When it comes back to you, Amelia, when it comes to your healing journey and how you feel it's important for you to move forward and heal, How do you do that? What do you do, and what do you think you need to do to heal from what has happened to our people?
I haven't fully healed yet. Like, I had a son that was murdered,
Right.
and in the early 90s. He was murdered, and that had to do a lot with the police. So with healing, I still haven't healed from that. I got a lot of hatred in me. And I'm always out there on the streets, always watching over people. If I see homeless people, doesn't matter what nationality or whatever.
Right.
If I see something going on, I'll intervene. Yeah, even with the younger kids on the street, I go up to them and I talk to them, and I get to know them, and I always tell them, be careful, watch out when you're on the street, and where do you live, what reserve do you come from, and stuff like that. I talk to them.
Right.
So yeah, I've been on the street quite a bit too,
Right.
trying to help the younger generation.
Yeah.
Because it is our younger generation that's feeling it now. We went through it already, but it's our younger, like our grandchildren, that are going through it now, the racism and the bullying and everything that goes with it. See, and with my children, with my grandchildren, because they're part Italian, they have it more worse, because they're getting it from both sides, like we were.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of times I had to go to the school and get them. I had to wait outside the school till they came out and take them home.
Right.
Pembina Highway, when they had the bus, I forget, the walking school bus. That was me that started that, because my grandchildren were going to school. I had to take them to school every day. I mean, even the high school kids were fighting them and beating them up. It was like they were going through the same thing we went through. So I went to the school, I talked to the principal and told him, you know what? I'm coming here every single day to pick up my grandchildren. They're being bullied, they're being beat up, and why doesn't one of the teachers walk them home or walk them down to close to home? And so they started that walking school bus. I didn't have to go anymore because a teacher would walk the kids up. So my grandchildren found it a lot better that way.
Yeah. So you talked about racism and how your children and your grandchildren experience that. Why do you think it's important that non-Indigenous people gain that understanding of what we've been through, and how can they, unlearn some of the mentalities that they've adopted so that they can stop treating us in a racist way?
Well, I had a lot of white friends going to school too. It wasn't all everybody, but they understood, the ones that I spoke to, and when they understood the way we live, the way we spoke, the way we were, then they understood us. Then when other kids would come along and say things to us, then they would jump in there and say, hey, leave her alone, or you don't understand them. So it wasn't always everybody. It was just the odd few that were understandable towards us.
So then there is allies out there. There are people who support our people, right? So what message would you give to non-Indigenous people who might not know how to be an ally? What message would you give them in helping them?
Give us a chance, get to know us.
I like that. That's
we're not hateful people. We're loving people when we want to be. It's just that they don't give us a chance to get to know us and how we really are. As we keep all that inside of us because of the mentality and the way they judge us right away. That's the way we see it. They judge us right off the bat. It's like, you didn't even talk to me. You don't know who I am, but already you're, because of the way I look, is how they go by. They don't really.
So, like, back to racism, we talk about racism on the individual level, and then we have the systemic level, and then at the government level. So what do you think, based off of a lot of what has happened to our people have been imposed on us by the government, what do you think the government needs to do to undo and to help us heal as Indigenous peoples?
The way I see it, our government needs to put more of our people up in there so that they can understand. For once, they can understand. Our politicians will get together because that's the only way they'll understand where we come from. And they won't give even our politicians a chance to get in there and try to help. Like, they're trying to help. They're not being racist. They're just trying to help everybody. but also giving us something to look forward to in the future. Like, we can do that. We got to come out now, and we got to start speaking out. Like, it's already, what, 2023, and it's really getting bad out there, and people need to stand up.
Do you have any messages that you want to send to Canadians, Indigenous people? If so, you can look in at that camera right there. If not, I can wrap it up.
Yeah, just give us a chance and let us try to be friends with other nationalities and help us to get ahead.
Right.
Yeah. And it's for our grandchildren. That's why I try.
Right.
I've been trying to be good, trying to be nice to everybody, because my grandchildren are going through a hard time right now with schooling and that.
Right.
Like, I've had my oldest grandson dropped out of school in grade 5. I had to go and sit with him in class every day because they would fight him, and he hated school. Finally, one day he said that was it. He wasn't going back. I said, "You have to," and he said, "No, I'm not." And I had to speak to him, and he started questioning me about the Native people.
Right.
So I started telling him our history, about how we grew up, what we went through, and how we survived.
Right.
So I said, you just have to be strong-willed and just keep going. Just don't let anything bother you. Just keep going straight ahead, and things will get better. They will.
That's a good message and very empowering. I want to say thank you, Miigwech Gusani, Amelia, for sharing your wisdom, your story, and being vulnerable with us. It's not easy to talk about these things, you know, so thank you so much.
There's a lot more, but it's more serious. And
yeah.
I've been through a lot, and like I said, I've looked after the elders. I've learned lots from the elders. And now that they're gone, all our elders are gone now. So I'm like, my grandchildren want to know all this stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't really know, because I lost the language, and I used to just listen to bits and pieces when they were talking about us and that. So yeah, to bring the language back is what I want, like, for our kids.
It's important. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amelia, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's episode of We Stand Together with Amelia Williams. I'm your guest host, Chansa Panikis. Ginanas Mitnawal.